I'm Dr. Deepak Chopra. In the next 60 minutes, I hope we can all together, with a little help and insight from me, help solve the mystery of our existence. That seems like a tall order, but I'm going to give it a try. A few years ago, I wrote a book called God, A Story of Revelation. And the book was about how human beings have thought about the mystery of their existence for at least the last, 5,000 years. So the book starts with the struggles of Job in the Old Testament. It then moves to the insights of some Christian saints, and then Rumi, the great Sufi poet, Adi Shankara, the great Indian proponent of non-duality, and several other people. It ends with a conversation that occurred in 1930 between Albert Einstein and the great Indian poet Tagore about whether reality is objective, which means observer independent, or reality is an experience in human consciousness. The two met, as I said. One was a great seer, a great artist, a great poet, and the other was the greatest scientific mind of our age. And they had some points of agreement, but many points where they never came to any conclusion. The nature of reality, and the fact that not only is there something called reality, whatever it is, but also that we know that there is something called reality. There's existence, and then there is awareness of existence, the two biggest mysteries that humans have thought about. In any case, I was traveling through the country promoting my book, and one of the places that was part of my book tour was Los Angeles. And so I was picked up at the airport by my son Gautam and my grandson Krishu as we call him, who was then 5 years old. Krishu's mother is Chinese American, so we call him the Chindian. And he's a very smart little mind, a very smart little fellow. So as we got out of the airport, he looks at me and he says, Dada. Dada is the Indian word for grandfather on the father's side. He said, Dada, what is dark energy? Interesting question to come from a 5-year-old. And I said to him, what do you know about dark energy? And he said, it flows through the night sky. Very poetic, very beautiful. I said, what else do you know about it? He said, it's 70% of the universe. I'm thinking to myself, how does he know all this? Anyway, we get out of the airport, and we're driving in the car. We're driving in Santa Monica. I roll down the window and we can smell the ocean, we can see the ocean. And he looks at me again. He says, how did they make that? I said, make what? He says, how did they make the ocean? I said, who make the ocean? And he said, they. I said, that's not a precise question. You have to tell me what you mean by they. And so I can see him thinking for a bit, and he reframed the question. He said, how did the ocean get made? So I said, the ocean got made the same way as the earth got made. A giant star exploded, and that was the solar system. We're a planet amongst many, and the ocean is part of the elements of this planet. And then I kind of turned to him and I said, do you know how many planets there are in the solar system? And he said, well, if you count Pluto, there are 9. But if you don't count Pluto, because some people don't think Pluto is a planet, then there are 8. I said, and where did the solar system come from? He said, the galaxy. I said, do you know the name of the galaxy? He said, solar system. I said, where did the galaxy come from? He said, the universe. And I asked him, I said, and where did the universe come from? And without batting an eyelid, he said, from another dimension. So, you know, I'm Indian. I'm thinking, who's this kid? You know, we believe in reincarnation and all that. So I'm thinking to myself, Galileo, Copernicus, maybe even Einstein. I said, Krishu, how do you know all this? He said, it's on my Pokemon. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you is you better know what's going on in Pokemon, because otherwise you're missing out on the zeitgeist, on the collective consciousness. But the bigger reason I'm sharing this story with you is what Krishu was pointing out at. If you look up the 2 most open questions in science today, the number 1 question is, what is the universe made of? So just let's talk about that for a moment. According to our current scientific knowledge, the universe is 70% dark energy, which Krishu pointed out. What is dark energy? Well, we actually don't know what it is. Einstein called it the cosmological constant, but it is a force, literally, that seems to behave in a way opposite to that of gravity. And this force is moving galaxies apart faster than the speed of light. Faster than the speed of light. And what it's ripping apart is space itself. So the distance between galaxies is moving faster than the speed of light, expanding faster than the speed of light. The cosmic horizon, which is the farthest reaches of the universe from where you and I are right now, is 47 billion light years away from us. 47 billion light years. Which means it takes light, it would take light 47 billion years, traveling at the speed of 186,000 miles per second to get here. So as the galaxies move across the cosmic horizon, that's the realm not only of the unknown, but the unknowable. Because by the time light reaches from there to where we are, our solar system will have exhausted, our sun will have exhausted its thermonuclear energy and burnt itself up into the heat death of absolute zero. It won't even exist. That's dark energy for you, 70% of the universe. So what's left? 30%. Of that 30% of the universe, almost 26%, close to 26% of the universe is another mysterious entity called dark matter. And the reason it's called dark matter is it's invisible, we can't see it. And the reason we can't see it is that it's not made of atomic matter. It doesn't reflect light, it doesn't refract light, it doesn't absorb light. It has nothing to do with light. Now, you and I are made of atoms, and we experience the world through the interactions of light. And so we perceive through the interactions of light. And this substance, if we can call it a substance, doesn't do anything like that. It does not behave like atoms. Scientists are struggling to find out what it's made of, and the latest candidate is something called WIMPs, W-I-M-P-S, which stands for massive, weakly interactive particles, WIMPs, weakly interactive massive particles. Has anyone found these WIMPs? No one has found these WIMPs. So why do we call it matter at all? The reason we call it matter is that according to the models of physics, this is responsible for most of the gravity in a galaxy. So it's actually the scaffolding of a galaxy. It holds a galaxy together. And were it not for dark matter, our galaxy would fall apart. The solar system, all the planets would spin off and move across into interstellar space. Everything would fall apart. We wouldn't exist. Dark matter is what holds our galaxy together. It bends space-time in the same way as regular matter. So hence the name dark matter. Well, that leaves about 4% of the universe that is atomic. And by that I mean made up of atoms, mostly hydrogen and helium, by the way. And in this 4%, of this 4%, 99.9999% is invisible interstellar dust. So we can't see it. The visible universe is 0.01% of what exists, 0.01%. That includes billions of galaxies. That includes hundreds of billions of stars. That includes, we are now told, trillions of planets. 0.01%. The rest is unknown, possibly unknowable. And here's the problem, because that's not the total mystery. The total mystery is even more mysterious. The visible universe, with all its atoms, is made of particles. When you ask scientists what are atoms made of, they say particles, electrons, protons, neutrons, quarks, on and on. But when we look at these particles, they have actually a very strange behavior. Particles, when you're looking at them, they appear as what we call material objects. They have units of mass and energy. But an unmeasured particle, or a particle that has not been seen, is actually also a wave. So everybody today knows that there is something called wave-particle duality. Particles and waves are complementary aspects of the same reality. But unlike particles, which occupy a location in space and have units of mass and energy, waves do not occupy a single location in space or time. They are spread out over the entire universe. And if you ask scientists, what are these waves made of? Because normally, you know, when you look at an ocean wave, it's made of water. The wave that's presumably carrying the sound of my voice to you right now is made of the vibration of air molecules. But what are the waves that create the fundamental units of physical stuff? What are they made of? And the best answer that scientists can give us is they're made of possibilities. They're in fact called possibility waves or probability waves. And if you ask scientists, what are these probability waves made of? They'll say, they're made of probabilities. They're mathematical entities. Where do they exist? They exist in Hilbert space. What is Hilbert space? Oh, it's a space defined by a mathematician called Hilbert But what is it? It's a multi-dimensional, infinite space. Where is it? Shut up and calculate. Well, that's the prevailing scientific view of the universe. 96% of the universe unknown or unknowable, invisible. The remaining 4%, 99.99%, invisible interstellar dust. The rest made up of atoms which end up being possibility waves that exist in some mathematical imagination, accessible only to mathematicians, but existing as possibility in what we could only call nothingness. So the universe is made out of nothing. What is the nature of this nothingness? Is it just a void, or could it be the womb of creation? Is it possible that nature goes to exactly the same place to create a galaxy of stars, a cluster of nebulas, a rainforest, a human body, an insect, a thought? What is a thought? Where does it come from? What's the source of thought? Where does it come from? What happens to a thought after you've experienced it? Or for that matter, anything that we call experience: sound, sight, taste, smell, texture, dimensionality, emotions, any sensation that we can call an experience. Where are these coming from? Where are they being experienced? And where do they disappear after we've had the experience? That's the great mystery we are trying to tackle right now. So as we go through how human beings have thought about existence over the last 5,000 years or so, this is the first way that human beings have conceived of the universe. Let's call it the divine universe. That beautiful painting on the Sistine Chapel is kind of a graphic description of that. It says, God created the universe. God created the universe and is the source and origin of life and mind. And of course, that's still today a model that many people hold to be true, other than, we should say, the scientists of our time. And slowly, the scientific revolution that began about 500 years ago began to dismantle that understanding of the universe. So as we move into the 17th century, with the appearance of Sir Isaac Newton, we find the divine universe replaced by what is usually referred to as the classic universe, created and ruled by the fixed laws of nature, knowable through human reason and logic. And this is a model that has been very successful. This is a model that has been very successful around the time of Isaac Newton. We had other luminaries who were asking themselves big questions, including Leibniz, René Descartes, Spinoza, and basically the assumptions behind the classic universe are these: laws of motion, universal gravitation, Kepler's laws of planetary motion. Newton explained Kepler's laws of planetary motion, the motion of objects on Earth and celestial bodies, and of course the laws of thermodynamics. And by the way, this model has been very successful in creating what we call the industrial age, the age of machines, and many things that we take for granted today: automobiles, jet planes. And in fact, using these laws, we can land people on the moon. So this is a very successful model, and this model prevailed till the appearance of Albert Einstein in 1897 through 1955 is when he lived. And Albert Einstein brought us what can be called the relativistic universe with two theories. One, the special theory of relativity in 1905, where basically he proposed the equivalence of mass and energy, the famous formula that you're all familiar with, E is equal to mc squared, the speed of light as a constant for all frames of reference. And then in 1915, Einstein came up with the general theory of relativity, which proposed the geometric relativity of gravitation. Gravity is a distortion in space-time, a unified description of gravity as a geometric property of space-time. And from this, we had the idea that there were things called black holes in the universe. And from this, we also understood what you call the red shift of light and so on. And also time and space and energy and matter as interdependent. And around the time of Einstein, then we had another great revolution in science, which took the relativistic universe, which was much more dynamic, as I said, where space-time and matter were all interdependent. The quantum revolution took us to a completely different understanding of nature that dealt not with the universe as seen out there, huge and big, but the microscopic universe, which deals with the behavior of electrons and photons and other elementary particles. And of course, we know the name Niels Bohr, who was in a way one of the pioneers along with other people. And the basics of quantum mechanics was that the movement of atoms was random. There was something called the uncertainty principle, which said that you cannot know the momentum and the position of a particle at the same time with precision, according to one of the principles of interpretation of quantum mechanics called the Copenhagen interpretation, where Niels Bohr was from. Observation causes collapse of a wave function, and that atoms and particles exist in superposition before they manifest as different entities. In fact, not only atoms and particles, but space, time, and atoms and particles all exist in superposition. The wave function provides information about what is called the probability amplitude for the position and momentum of particles. And also the concept of non-locality started to emerge, which is that there's a dimension beyond our usual experience of space and time where everything is inseparable, where everything is correlated, where if the universe is tickled in one location, it can laugh at other locations at the same time. In other words, the measurement of a particle in one location of space-time determines a correlated behavior of a particle in another location in space-time. Actually, it was Einstein who first came up with the idea in what is known as the Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen equation. Later, we saw Bell's theorem, and only recently in 1982, a scientist by the name of Alain Aspect actually showed this non-local correlation, not communication, but correlation, where the state of one particle and the state of another particle, if they had interacted before, remained correlated. And then somebody called Jizin, another scientist, showed that again at CERN, and I think non-locality is generally accepted by physicists at the moment. And so when we go and look at quantum mechanics, we find that it's actually the best way to do calculations which are very precise, and a lot of our technology depends on quantum mechanics. So if you are using a computer or a transistor or any of the technologies right now, if you're sending email and texting each other and seeing movies that you've downloaded from iTunes, these technologies are the gift of the understanding of the mathematics of quantum physics. There were other luminaries, including Werner Heisenberg and Max Planck and many others, Schrödinger, Everett, Born, so and so. Many more. So quantum mechanics works, the calculations work. But if you go onto Wikipedia and you type out interpretations of quantum mechanics, interpretations are sets of statements which attempt to explain quantum mechanics beyond the recipes it gives for performing actions. And this question is of special interest to philosophers, but also to physicists. So let's go and see what Wikipedia has to say about the interpretations. Okay, so just look at this chart, and this, you see so many interpretations of quantum mechanics. I'm not qualified to really comment on these interpretations, and most quantum physicists actually argue about these interpretations. Until recently, the most popular was the Copenhagen interpretation, and now there's something called many worlds, many universes interpretation. And as we actually look further into what is happening in the world of physicists, we'll see that the meta-worlds theory and meta-worlds theory seem to have gained popularity. The original Copenhagen interpretation suggested that the wave function collapses when a measurement is performed, which means that there's an observer who's doing the measurement. And right now we're in a state where there's a lot of mathematical theories, where there are a lot of mathematical theories and mathematical guessing games. Eternal inflation is actually very popular right now. It suggests something like a cosmic casino. Think of a cosmic Las Vegas, where for eternity there are these slot machines, infinite number of them, and they're all throwing up coins randomly. If the coin comes back heads up, it doubles in size. I'm using this as a metaphor, and this actually metaphor is found in Joel Premack's book on the universe. And Joel is a very well-known cosmologist, but eternal inflation comes to us from a Russian cosmologist by the name of Andrei Linde. And I'm only going to explain it metaphorically, without the math, of course, which none of us would understand anyway, including myself. So imagine there's a cosmic casino, a cosmic Las Vegas, and there are an infinity of machines throwing up coins. And if they come back heads up, they double in size. If they come back tails up, they halve in size. Imagine a scenario where you have almost an infinite series of tails sequentially. So the coin keeps getting half and half and half till it reaches what is called Planck size. Planck size is something like 10 to the power of minus 35 centimeters or so. It's the smallest size you can imagine. And then there's a hole in the cosmic casino that quantum fluctuation escapes, and it spins off a universe. And because this casino has infinite slot machines throwing infinity of coins at almost infinite speeds for infinite time, there's the possibility of infinite universes as a result of eternal inflation. And this also theory is frequently these days called chaotic inflation. There are other theories. I don't know much about how to explain them, but here they are on your screen. Superstrings, multi-worlds, multiverse, M theory, which is a combination of many theories. And a lot of these theories presume a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. If you look at this morass of mathematical guessing games, one thing is certain. We are now living in an uncertain time as to the nature of reality. We are living in an uncertain time as to the nature of reality. And many people object when I say the fabric of nature has almost reached a dead end. By this I only mean that these theories of eternal inflation, superstring, supersymmetry, chaotic inflation, multiworlds, metaverse, these theories are mathematical. They exist in mathematical imagination, but they cannot be experimentally verified, because what we find is a universe where 99.999% of the universe is sub-empirical. It does not lend itself to experimental verification or validation or observation. As I mentioned, most of it is dark matter and energy, and the visible universe is in the form of stars and planets is only 0.01%. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And what I would like to suggest now is that we take a little digression from everything I've told you and understand one very simple fact. None of these models of the universe actually explains how we experience the universe. I'll repeat that. None of these models explains how we actually experience the universe. I look out of my window, I'm sitting in Aspen, and I see this beautiful, gorgeous scenery, mountains, snowflakes, greenery, star-spangled sky. How am I having that experience? Who is the me that has having that experience? So let me repeat, how does quantum mechanics, how does eternal inflation, multiverse, superstring, supersymmetry, chaotic inflation, Copenhagen interpretation, classical universe, how does that actually explain how I experience the universe? I don't experience quantum mechanics. It's a model for explaining certain aspects of reality. What do I experience? I experience sound. I experience texture, taste, smell. I experience form. I experience color. I experience love. I experience joy, emotions like equanimity and compassion and empathy. When I'm distressed, I experience fear, sometimes rage, anger, hostility, guilt, shame, depression, ecstasy. In other words, how do I experience, through my senses, what I call a physical world? How do I experience, through thoughts and emotions, what I call a mental world? How do I experience my own body? If you look at a flower, just let's look at this flower here. Okay, what's happening is, according to science, photons, which are invisible, which are waves of electromagnetic energy, they're entering your eyes, they're causing chemical reactions in your retina, electrochemical reactions. Those electrochemical reactions are sending a current into your brain. In your brain, there's electrochemical activity, and you see a rose. How does that happen? How do chemical reactions and electrochemical activity give you the experience of a rose or of me on this stage, on your screen, or wherever else you're watching this from, or this three-dimensional universe that exists in space-time, because the photons that are coming to your brain don't have any dimensionality. How do you experience a three-dimensional universe? Where are you right now experiencing that which you call Deepak? Where? In your eyes? Well, by the time photons come to your eyes, they go through your lens, they get inverted, your retina is curved, your eyes are about 9.5 centimeters apart, they're about 2.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters in size. If you were actually having the experience of seeing me in your eyes, you should be seeing two of me about this big, upside down curved, 9 centimeters apart. Well, that's not happening, right? So the experience of seeing me is not happening in your eyes. Some people say it's happening in the brain, but then your brain is 14 by 10 by 7 centimeters. How do I fit inside your brain? How does this room fit inside your brain? How does the Milky Way galaxy fit inside your brain? So who or what is having this experience of your own body, of your own mind, of your thoughts, your emotions, and what we call the physical world? Who or what is having this experience? This experience. And where is that entity, the subject of experience? You know, the most common word we use in any language is I. I had a nice dinner, I went for Chinese food, I went to see a movie, I'm in love, on and on. Everything is preceded by I. So I is the center of all experience. I is also the center of all volition. If I raise my hand, if I walk, who is having that intention? And experience is in the form of sensations, sounds, textures, smells, tastes, forms, colors, but it's also in the form of thoughts, emotions. Who's having this experience? Where is this entity that we call I? And you know, many times I ask my audiences, where are you? You can try it with you right now. Where are you? Raise your hand. I'm here. That's our normal experience of I. I is somewhere here, and that which is not I is somewhere there or somewhere there. Well, in the next few minutes, I hope you will realize this is a hallucination. Because when I look inside your body, and we can do that today with technology, CAT scans looking inside the brain with fMRIs, and you know, you can go inside the body. There's nobody there. There's no little person sitting inside your body, inside your brain, looking out through your eyes and saying, that's the universe, that's the body. The I of experience cannot be found, nor can the I of volition be found. And yet, that's our most intimate experience of our own self. I am Deepak, I am Deepak Chopra. You are Simon Leong, you are Punacha Machaya, you are Mary Smith. Who's that? Where is that experience happening? It's a tough question. And today that is called the hard problem of consciousness. So when I started my lecture, I said there are two fundamental mysteries that are foremost in science. Number one, what is the universe made of? And I think we agreed that the universe is made of nothing. But the second question in science today, which is also called the hard question, is what is the biological nature of consciousness? who or what is having the experience. There's existence, and then there is the awareness of existence. There is existence, and then there is the awareness of existence. Awareness or consciousness is where we have experiences. Without being conscious, you can't have the experience of your mind. You can't have the experience of thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires, intentions, imagination, instincts, drives, memories. But you also can't have the experience of sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. So, without awareness, there can be no experience. This is the hard problem of consciousness. We are trying to find a material explanation for consciousness. We are asking ourselves, how can matter be conscious? Not only are we asking ourselves, how can matter be conscious, we are asking ourselves, how can matter be self-aware? And this seems to be an unsolvable problem. And when you have an unsolvable problem, perhaps we should be asking, are we asking the wrong questions? Is matter the product of consciousness, or is consciousness the product of matter? Believe me, nobody has shown the existence of a substance called matter. Nobody has ever shown the existence of a substance called matter. When we look at matter and atoms and subatomic particles, as I mentioned, they disappear into waves that are nothing. Now, great seers and great mystics like Rumi and others have suggested that the universe is made of nothing, but also that consciousness is made of nothing. In fact, in one of his poems, Rumi says, "We come spinning out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust." He says, look at these worlds, spinning out of nothingness. This is you. He says, beyond all ideas of right and wrong, there's a field. I'll meet you there. Could it be that the universe, which we say is made out of nothing, and consciousness, which is also nothing, you can't see consciousness, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, try and find it, you can't find it, because how do you see something that's nothing? How do you see something that's formless? And without that formless being or consciousness, there is no experience of form. So what I'm going to suggest to you now is a radically different worldview. And that is, the world is consciousness. The universe is consciousness. It's not made out of consciousness as much as it is consciousness. And consciousness, when we try to define it, we run into problems, but one of the best definitions I've come across is through a great teacher called Rupert Spira, who says consciousness is that in which we have experience, that makes experience possible. Consciousness is both the experience and the knowing of experience. Consciousness is that in which experience occurs, that in which experience is known, and out of which experience is made. And experience is mental and perceptual, and mental experience is thought. So what is a thought? It's a modified form of consciousness. What is an emotion? It's a modified form of consciousness. What is sound? A modified experience of consciousness within consciousness. Form, color, these are modifications, modulations, modes of experience that occur in consciousness, that are known in consciousness, that are made out of consciousness. Therefore, there is only consciousness. Consciousness is the universe. Consciousness is reality. And so we now come to what I would like to offer you as the new formula. U is equal to C. Consciousness and the universe are equivalent. And that's why frequently we come to this beautiful phrase which is found in the Vedanta, which is Aham Brahmasmi. I am the universe. You are the universe. But the I am, that is the universe, is not the body-mind, because even the body-mind is an experience in consciousness. The body-mind and the universe co-emerge and co-subside as a constantly transforming, intermittent stream of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. What Dan Siegel uses this acronym, SIFT, to describe sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. So consciousness is sifting itself out as the experience of mind, body, universe, all at the same time, and it's a continuous movement. It cannot be captured, because the moment you capture it, it's already not there. It's like taking a photo of an ocean and then taking the photo and the wave that you took to be the ocean. By the time you take the photo, it's not there anyway. So this is now the solution to both the heart problem and the nature of the universe. And why does it matter? Why it matters is, and by the way, here's another beautiful expression from the Vedanta: Brahman is equal to Brahman. Brahman is universal consciousness, and Brahman is the manifestation of that universal consciousness. The universe is what consciousness looks like to itself when consciousness experiences itself as a perceptual object. The brain is what the mind looks like when the mind experiences itself as a perceptual object. And the body-mind and the universe is the perceptual experience of universal consciousness as it experiences itself. Now, when I say cosmic consciousness, people have images of cosmic consciousness, some grand consciousness out there in the sky. No, I don't mean that. When I say cosmic consciousness, I mean that which is without form, but without which there would be no experience of form. That which cannot be seen, but without which there is no seeing. That which cannot be heard, but without which there is no hearing. That which cannot be thought of, conceived, but without which there is no thinking or conception or imagination. You are that. Tattvamasi is the Sanskrit phrase. You are that, I am that, all this is that, that alone is. Now, this should be very reassuring to people, because as a formless being, you are not subject to birth and death. You cannot be destroyed. You know, the Vedanta, the Bhagavad Gita says water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, fire cannot burn it, it is ancient, weapons cannot destroy it, it is ancient, it's unborn, it is not subject to birth and death, it's you. When you recognize yourself as a formless being that is actually giving rise not only to the experience of body, mind, and universe in time, but which endlessly recycles itself as all form and phenomena, as all experience, then you have liberated yourself. Then you have found your true home, which is a field of infinite possibilities, infinite creativity, infinite imagination, infinite synchronicity, the realm of uncertainty, and the source of all intention. Shift your identity there. I'm not Deepak Chopra, I'm not Deepak, I'm not this body-mind, I'm the awareness in which the body-mind arises and subsides in every moment of time. Experience is in time, but I am is not in time. When Moses asked the burning bush, he says, "What's your name, God?" God says, "I am that I am." Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. I am is the light of awareness in which the whole universe arises and subsides, in which your body arises and subsides, in which your mind arises and subsides. When you look at an object, a flower, a rainbow, a starlit sky, a galaxy, a mountain, a river, it is the light of awareness that manifests that out of a field of all possibilities. We think of light as photons, but photons do not have color or dimensionality. It is the light of awareness that gives rise to the universe, and you are the light. I quote ancient scriptures when Jesus says, I am the light of the world, you are the light of the world. What that light is, the light of being, the light of awareness, the light of consciousness, without which there would be no experience. The experience again is in time, but I am is always now, is not in time. Eternity is not endless time, eternity is timelessness, which expresses itself as experience in time. So when we experience ourselves as this fundamental reality, where everything is inseparably one, where everything is synchronistic, where we realize there's only consciousness, we are liberated from the clutches of space-time and causality. The ancient wisdom traditions, particularly Vedanta, they say human beings suffer because of 5 causes. The number one is they do not know their true self. The field of infinite possibilities, the field of pure potentiality, the immeasurable potential of all that was, is, and will be, the field of infinite creativity, the field of infinite manifestation, the field of intentionality, the field that evolves as love, compassion, joy, equanimity, truth. They don't know who they are. As Rumi said, by God, when you see your beauty, you'll be the idol of yourself. Number one cause of suffering. You've confused yourself with your selfie. Today, the culture of selfie is the culture of ultimate narcissism. We have sacrificed our soul for a photo. Okay, so that's the first cause of suffering. The second cause is trying to grasp something which doesn't really exist. How do you grasp a movement? Hold on to your breath and you'll suffocate. Hold on to anything and you'll suffocate, because what you hold on to cannot be held on to. Any experience, whether it's the experience of your body, your mind, thought, emotion, sensation, can't hold on to it. So which leads to the third cause of suffering, which is fear of impermanence. Because experience is in the realm of time, it is impermanent. It goes. Buddha said, this lifetime of ours is transient as autumn clouds. To watch the birth and death of beings is like looking at the movements of a dance. A lifetime is like a flash of lightning in the sky, rushing by like a torrent down a steep mountain. Impermanence. Ego is also impermanent. And the final cause of human suffering, existential suffering, is the fear of death. Look behind you. The Prince of Death is stalking you right now. I don't mean to scare you, but we are all on death row. The only uncertainty is the length of reprieve and the method of execution. So we live in fear. We live in fear of impermanence. We live in fear of the unknown. We are not willing to step into the unknown. We don't even realize that the known doesn't exist. It's already happened. And yet we are prisoners of the known. So I repeat those 5 causes: not knowing your true identity, grasping and clinging, fear of impermanence, identifying with your selfie or your self-image instead of yourself, and finally the fear of death. And I can assure you that every fear is the fear of death in disguise. It's the fear of stepping into the unknown. But what if the unknown is right now? What if the unknown is the fresh field of infinite possibilities? What if the unknown is the infinite potential for space-time and causality? What if the unknown is the immeasurable potential of all that was, all that is, and all that will be? Find yourself, and you find the universe. Aham Brahmasmi. I am the universe. You are the universe. This is where we want to put our anchor in. This is where we want to move our internal reference point. Not to the impermanent experiences, but to the consciousness in which those experiences come and go. Timeless being. Timeless being is liberation, is what the Eastern traditions call moksha, infinite freedom to create, to love, to experience joy, to heal. The word healing comes from the word holy. And holiness is not some kind of sanctimonious, self-righteous morality. Holiness means wholeness. Wholeness, all-inclusiveness. Healing is the return of the memory of wholeness. And when we are whole, we are holy, and we are healed. That's the ultimate message of you are the universe. I am the universe. Thank you.